Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here to give you my review for The Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 11. And this episode is called Knots Untie, which I kind of like the name of this episode. Now, obviously, I'm just going to kind of talk about this again in chronological order, sort of. I know technically I didn't do it with the last one, but this one I actually am, just because there was mainly just one big plot. I am still gonna give the good bits an up and the bad bits like a down, and like the other bits in the middle. Now, originally I was gonna give this a down, but this is actually gonna get an up. So the episode kicks off with Abraham and Sasha, and you know, basically you can kind of see that Abraham kind of had like a thing for Sasha. I mean, obviously it's been known before, but still, that's like the main person I guess he thinks about a lot. And basically we find out that Eugene's now going to start to make the ones with Sasha instead of just and she's going to start to work the wall, well, not the wall, but the tower again. And Abraham finds it strange that Glenn and Maggie are going to have kids now with the world that they live in. And he questions whether or not that it's worth having a kid in this type of world. And Sasha says that maybe they want to have something to live for, and maybe they just want to have to start to build a foundation for themselves. So Abraham starts to contemplate this. We see that he's still with Rosita, which I find obviously cool. And Rosita made him like a little necklace that came off that was from like a car headlight, and basically he's starting to contemplate whether or not he really like wants to be in a relationship. This gets an up. I originally was gonna give this like a down because it didn't really build to anything, but thinking about it now, this did build to something, and I'll talk about that more so when I get there. Then we see Jesus, and he's sitting on the steps, and Carl comes in, points a gun at him, and wonders what he's doing there. And Jesus lets it slip that Rick and Michonne are now a thing now, considering the fact because he calls him his mom and dad. They're just getting dressed. I thought that was actually kind of bad for Carl to know that, but whatever. And basically, Jesus reveals that he's part of a group that makes trades with other groups. And he said that he wants to make a trade with Rick. At first, he just wanted to steal from Rick because they look like deceiving people. But obviously, he's changed his mind, considering the fact that he ended up feeding Ron after Rick and Dale brought him back from being after he was hit by the truck, when they could have just left him out there. That they brought him back. And they showed that they actually were good people. So, Rick and his group, and he offers to make a trade with Rick's group. He says that he has a group also up there as well, and he said that they can make a trade for something. And Rick accepts, and this was an up. Obviously, it set up the tone for the rest of the episode, so this was an up. Then, obviously, Rick tells Carl that he apologizes for not saying anything about him as Michonne, but it had literally just happened the night before. And Carl decides to stay. I don't know if it's because he's mad at Rick because he didn't say anything, or he just decided to stay. I don't know if there's supposed to be more to that, but whatever. And basically the group leaves off to go to Jesus' group, and Abraham asks Glenn what made him and Maggie have the decision to have kids. And basically Glenn decided that they wanted to finally build a life and finally have a little bit of a normal life, and have and they said that was something that they had discussed for a long time. And then we find that there's been a car accident and a bunch of people turned into zombies. And Jesus reveals that was members of his group. And since Rick doesn't trust him, they go to break into an old store. And Rick handcuffs Jesus in case he tries anything funny. And Maggie holds him at gunpoint. And everybody goes in there. And Rick, Glenn, Dale, and Abraham all save everybody else from the group. Dale choked one of the guys in the group thinking he was a zombie. And then we find out that one of the guys is a doctor. And his name is... I'm just going to see if I can find his name. His name... Wow, this person really went all out for the thing. I don't remember. Okay, it was Haloman. I wanted to make sure I said his name right. We find out he's a doctor, and basically this ties in because Glenn asks, because he had like a bunch of medications he was bringing back, and Glenn asked him for some pregnancy pills, and obviously he accepts, and then the group arrives at the town, and a couple of guys with spears threaten to kill them if they don't lower their guns, and they won't lower their guns unless they lower their spears. And then they start not to trust Jesus, and Jesus said, well, you should trust me because I'm letting you keep your guns. If I didn't want to let you keep your guns, if I was going to do something bad to you, I wouldn't let you keep your guns. So then the group lowers their guns, and they go into the town, and then we found out like so much information about this place. I'm just going to read it off Wikipedia just because I really don't remember. So it says it's called the Hilltop Colony. At a community built around Barrington House, a plantation taken over by the state as a living history museum. A stockade was built with telephone poles. Okay, yeah, that's not really what I want to read. I only care about that. Well, I guess from a nearby supply depot, and other survivors brought trailers with them from a FEMA camp. They are raising livestock and growing crops, successfully supporting their growing population. A sentry at the gate wants everyone... Okay, yeah, I already read that part. So then, basically, Gregory comes out, and Gregory was played by Alexander Berkeley, and he did a great job as Gregory. He instantly when you see him, he won't even like talk to Rick's group right away. He has him go take a shower, which showed that he was instantly like an asshole. So I actually kind of like that about him. I thought Xander played this role very well, so he gets an up. And I actually kind of like that Rick had Maggie be the one to go talk to him. I kind of showed, I think that kind of shows because Maggie was kind of the one that was also kind of like taking leadership has been taking leadership in Alexandria, and also she's going to be a mom, so this kind of gives her practice. And before that, Abraham has a talk with the same conversation with Dale about asking Dale if he's ever going to settle down, and Dale was like, well, his shit ever really settled down, so obviously he really doesn't give much of an answer. So that's an up. I like their exchange. And then Maggie goes in, and Gregory talks about this painting that he has and how he's has loved coming to this museum for a while. And yeah, pretty much Gregory offers to make a trade with Maggie, and Maggie kind of tells him a little bit about Alexandria. He tells them a little bit about his town, and then he kind of starts to get serious with Maggie. He says, "I know that your group doesn't have shit. So if you don't have anything to trade with us, we're not going to trade with you. So either the only way you're going to get our supplies is if you work for it." And then Maggie says, "Well, yeah, but I know your group doesn't have ammo, because I forgot to mention that Jesus said that that the group doesn't know how to fight. So basically, that's why they haven't been, obviously, you know, that's why they need the supplies." So Gregory's not interested in trading with her, and Maggie leaves and storms off. This was a great scene. Definitely check this out. Up. And then you see Jesus wants Rick's group to give him a few more days to really convince them, and Rick says he'll give him a few more days. I'm going to give another up because Jesus, which was Paul Revere in real life, actually did look like Jesus. Like, you can see in this episode, because he was actually wearing normal clothes now and stuff, why they call him Jesus. He actually does look like Jesus, and he's like trying to act like Jesus by being all faithful and stuff. That was pretty good. I think he's actually a pretty good Jesus, actually. Ironic, how ironic is that? Then another group. I have to get the names because I'm bad with names. I've done like two of these videos so far, so I'm kind of So another group of people come back with revealing that two members of their group have been killed, and we find out that this guy Negan was a part of it. Now, obviously, we find out that they were sent to give Gregory a message, and we find out that they have one of their guys hostage, Craig, I believe is his name, and the message was to stab Gregory. So then Rick's group makes the save. They beat the crap out of these guys. Rick punches him in the face. Abraham attacks him, and one of the guys is really on top of Abraham, is just absolutely choking him. And Abraham kind of has like a revelation. He starts to kind of think that maybe there is a purpose, and he starts to kind of think about what it's like maybe to start settle down. And then Daryl comes over and breaks the guy's arm, or at least splits it. And Rick kills the other guy, just stabs him right in the throat, and everybody was all distraught about it. And Rick was like, "What?" I thought that was funny. So this action scene and stuff gets an up, and then eventually back at Rick off. When we find out that Negan has been taking their supplies. There was a deal that was supposed to go down that really didn't go all that well, and Negan offers that the deal now is that Negan takes some of their supplies and they don't kill them. So and now we find out they have one of the men hostage. So Rick offers to go out there and take out Negan and his crew, because they say they don't really know how much they are, how many people they really have, and Jesus says he's going to go talk to Gregory about it. And then when Jesus comes out, Gregory says that he just wants to talk to Maggie. And I like that Maggie was kind of like the one taking the stand here. So basically, Gregory is like, "So after all this, you're just going to end up working for us anyways." And at first, Gregory doesn't want to take the deal because Gregory doesn't really care all that much about Craig. He was just kind of in the way anyways. But Maggie then says, "My father used to have this belief that you should forgiveness is the biggest strength ever." So then he offers to do it, and he says, "Isn't this fun?" And then Maggie says, "We want half the stuff." And Maggie says that if we don't get half the stuff, we're not going to do it, and then eventually you're going to be left with no supplies at all and no people, and then you're going to be killed. So then he accepts the offer, and then Maggie's like, "You're right, this is fun." Well, it doesn't say it like that, but basically that's just kind of how I'm taking it. And then Maggie says that she wants one more thing and that's an ultrasound. And basically, it takes a picture of her baby, and then the episode ends. Well, first the episode ends with Rick and everybody taking everything, and then Rick tells Michonne, giving him confidence that they're going to beat Negan, and he wants one of the guys in the town to go with him since they've been tracking Negan and stuff like that. And then the episode ends with everybody looking at the picture of Maggie and Glenn's baby. And then Abraham looks at it, and I think this is kind of when he said, yeah, this is what's worth finally settling down for. So I'm going to give 3 ups, and up to the Gregory Maggie, the second exchange, and up, well, I guess 2 ups actually, and up to Abraham, them looking at the picture. I like that this had a positive ending for a change. Typically, Walking Dead kind of likes to have that hook that's typically intense, or likes to kind of have a depressing one that kind of makes you want to watch. This one had a positive ending. It doesn't typically have a positive ending, so I'm all about that positivity. So I like this. This episode I thought was pretty good. I'm going to give it probably a 7.3. It wasn't quite like a 7.5, but it was about a 7.3. I know that's being very typical, but I definitely think that this is setting up a lot of small plot holes to get to the season finale or to the episode where they're going to go face Negan. I think this is I think this is pretty good. I like how it's gonna slowly set up to it, and obviously we did they did go back to that Negan thing, because like I said, I thought it was kind of strange that in the mid-season premiere that they mentioned Negan and we haven't seen him yet. Now we're gonna see Negan, and I think that's pretty good, and I'm happy about this episode. I can't really think of any downs to give this episode, but I don't have any. But this was pretty good. It's a pretty good episode. There's no really downs, but it really wasn't, a great episode. But this was a pretty good episode. So that's basically it. I'm going to see if I can do another one of these. So, yeah, let's do that.